What was that, Kirby? You'd like for me to go kill that man? Okay. I love Kirby. So when he reaches to me through the ether and tells me I need to play his game without power-ups or mouthful mode, I do it. The only Waddle Dees we're going to be collecting this run are ones we can get without using mouthful mode or power-ups. Unless it's a mandatory mouthful mode, then we'll do it, but we won't collect any Waddle Dees it can give us. But also we're doing double extra bonus challenge. We're doing extreme hard mode, where if I take damage, I have to reset the level I'm doing. I was originally going to do this with a mod that made it so Kirby die in one hit, but I was told Nintendo would actually ban your account and personally kill you in a warning video to other modders. So let's just stay safe and pretend the mod is on, and when I'm hurt, I'm just going to reset the level. Okay, so now on to level 1. World 1 is super easy even without using the vending machine or cone. I bet you could have guessed that. We're going to have to skip quite a few Waddle Dees, but we'll still have plenty to get to Gorimondo anyway. Giant Edge puts up no fight at all, and there's a mandatory cone mouth at the end, and... oh no. Kirby just killed that man. Now on level 2. Level 2 is a cave world that takes use of fire, and since we can't have power-ups, we're going to be skipping almost every single Waddle Dee in this level. You could skip the stair mouthful mode if you use fire, but skipping the stairs with fire kind of breaks the main challenge of no power-ups. Let's just chalk this up as another mandatory mouthful mode. Level 3 has a skippable car mouthful mode that doesn't really change the level or make it harder, it just makes it a lot less fun to do. And in level 4 I could navigate them all without getting lost without needing the mouthful mode because I played this game 100 times. But I did take damage to Frosty somehow and had to redo the level once. And there's another non-skippable mouthful mode with storage mouth, so let's count this as mandatory. I can't remember who that boss is. I think that silhouette's Dedede. Oh, it's Gorimondo, okay. The first thing to do is rip down his revolting Kirby slander, and oh my. But other than that, he's really easy. There's no problem whatsoever to doing him. Just jump over his slaps or dodge and stand back when he twirls at you, and he should give you no trouble whatsoever. Now we're going down to World 2. Extra bonus mega challenge in World 1. Can you beat it without getting wet? No, you can't. Not without hammer, at least. I took dumb damage, had to restart once here, and there's a skippable mouthful mode. Other than that, there's nothing to note in World 1 or 2. In World 3, there is more repulsive Kirby slander that you must tear down, and you have to fight Florina midway. I didn't want to have to do this to you, Florina. Well, you left me no choice. And there's another mandatory mouthful mode at the end with Archmouth. There is absolutely no way to skip this, I tried. Level 4 is completely easy with nothing interesting to note, so let's head on down to, who is that silhouette of? I really can't remember those bosses. It looks like next up is Dedede. Okay. Shoot, it's Tropical Woods. I keep getting these wrong. Well, he got me once with some chip damage, ain't gonna lie, but he's still completely manageable to fight without power-ups. His coconuts give you some big, chunky old projectiles to shoot at him, and his net can be slightly hard to shoot around, but still he's no issue. With how buttery smooth this playthrough's been so far, I actually would make the argument they heavily playtested this game with base Kirby. Alright, so far so good, nothing hards came up yet, Kirby is still easy, so let's head on down to World 3. World 3 level 1 is easy as crud, there's a mandatory water mouthful mode that doesn't really seem like you can skip it without hammer, and there's nothing else to know. In level 2 you can skip the car mouth, but it feels like I'm the kid who didn't get to go on the field trip, and I'm just left out of all the fun running down this highway. I just know I'm missing out on something. Wild Edge is back for a rematch, and yeah, he's still a pushover. Then there's another car section you get to skip here, and the only penalty it comes with is not being allowed to have fun in this level. In level 3, I learned the aliens could smack you. I did not know that, and that caused me a restart. There is a mandatory mouthful mode with a light bulb section, and I know what you're thinking, why not just hover to the end? There's invisible walls that prevent you from doing that. And at the end, there is a stairway that you need light bulb mouth to get down there, and you can spawn the light bulb down there and skip a lot of it, but it doesn't make a difference. You still have to suck the light bulb in anyway, so let's count this up as mandatory. But you can skip the vending machine mouth that's meant to be mandatory by floating really high. I don't really get how that worked. I don't know why this happened, but if you just go up high, it makes you not have to get it. Level 3, impatience got the best of me. Often. If you can keep yourself patient, it's not hard at all, but I'm not patient whatsoever. And you can skip the water mouthful at the end, and it doesn't make it too much harder. Alright, you know who's up next, my favorite boss of the game, it's Dedede! Shoot, man! When is Dedede come in this game? Dang. It looks like it's Claraline, and she's not too much of an issue to do with no damage or power-ups. Of course, our favorite shows up, Chip Damage, still making a fan-favorite appearance. Just move in circles with her knives, and jump when she slams, dodge when she charges you, and she's no trouble at all to do no damage. Let's move on. World 4 level 1's the first level that I consider challenging. There's plenty of projectiles with large hitboxes coming from those penguin fellas. My want to go fast made this level a lot harder than it needed to be. It requires just a little bit of patience, and unfortunately, a little bit of patience is something I do not have. I had a strange little glitch as well, where the penguin fellow was building a snowball, and I got like a neat little snow wart attached to me. It disappeared when you consume the penguin or spit him out. I tried both. You can skip the first set of stairs, but without hammer shenanigans, you can't skip the second one. And by the end of it, I remembered to have self-control and not speed through every segment, so I got to beat the level. In level 2, if you use Kirby's dash, you can negate some of the ice's slipperiness by instantly accelerating. I thought that was very helpful. Other than that, it's a super easy level. In level 3, I took some very, very, very avoidable damage. Level 4 is really fun. It's a mini-boss rush. It made it easier if you sneak one boss in to shoot at the next one. And if I were them, that'd kind of lower my morale if I was sent to fight a guy and he spat the last person who fought him out at me. Okay, so in World 4, this is the first time we ever have any trouble with Waddle Dees. In Worlds 1 through 3, there's more than enough to get through to each boss. In World 4, it gets a little bit dubious because you're short one Waddle Dee, so I got the 3 meals at sea, and even though that's kind of pushing it because you have to collect the ring mouth in order to spawn the food, you can still get the food without actually using the boat, so I guess I can kind of count that as base Kirby still. Okay, so now we're on to the boss of this world. I don't know who you are. Yes, bro, it's Dedede, my favorite, okay. Classic chip damage showing up again, always making you have to redo the boss. I found out you could sneak some woofies in to shoot at him. He gave me more trouble than all the other bosses did so far, but he's still no trouble yet. When he falls, be sure to grab his hammer, because that gives you plenty of damage if you spit it back out at him. And when he grabs the marble column, you're going to want to either dodge to the left or the right when he slams, get the slowdown, and shoot plenty of stars at him. And when he does the big swing, conversely, you're going to want to either jump or dodge through that. I found that a little harder to punish.
You freaking prick!
Okay, now we're in World 5, and it's starting to get a little bit spicy with the challenge. Not too bad yet, but there's some heat to it, I can tell. Stage 1 isn't so bad with some patience, and the Snake Warrior is quite a legendary foe. Stage 2 has some purple that you have to dodge, and because I like to rush, I got hit by it a few times. And I just cannot defeat this Snake Warrior. He is just a mighty foe indeed. In Stage 3, there's a mandatory cone mouth twice, and because of this, I had to use some mouthful modes, but I did not use them as a weapon, so let's just say that keeps the sanctity of the challenge being a base Kirby run. Now we're in Stage 4, and we got that Peter Griffin remix of the spooky song going. And then you get to enter Banger Valley. Man, that song's good. And then, obviously, the Archmouth is non-skippable. The Archmouth section was rough on me, man. I had to do this whole stage multiple times just because of that Archmouth section. And then in World 5, this is where it has to end, because you cannot get enough Waddle Dees without using mouthful modes or power-ups. There is just not enough you can get as base Kirby, which is a real shame, because we got pretty far, actually. Even if I get the one from Archmouth and the one with a light bulb mouth, it still leaves me 3 short, so I guess this is where it has to end. But what's this? Really good luck, guys. I just found 3 Waddle Dees hanging out at Arby's, so we can continue the challenge from here. Whew, what good luck. Alright, let's get going. Okay, next up we're going up to the rematch with Dedede to save Elfilin. Ew, oh yeah, it's Silly Dillo. Silly Dillo is easy no matter what you do. Just dodge him when he rolls and shoot stars at him. You can also shoot a bunch of stars at him when he falls down. You can dodge his wife dolls that he throws at you, and you can either just keep moving and you'll dodge them, or you can do Kirby's combat roll to feel cooler, and there's nothing really they could do to make this boss fight hard, so I beat him with no challenge whatsoever. Now we're moving on to World 6. World 6 level 1 had lava, which kind of had a similar effect that the purple did in World 5, where I wanted to rush and I got punished for doing just that. And level 2 is not bad if you employ some weenie strats, of which I did plenty. There's a mandatory boat mouthful at the end though. The level 3 is kinda easy. Level 4 is a boss rush, except they have much less health now. And there is a mandatory car mouth. And it's still pretty easy actually, despite the boss rush. It's not as hard as you'd think. Now level 5 though. Level 5 is a doozy. I took 100 tries on level 5. It is an extremely long gauntlet. Skipping the cart at the beginning actually made it way easier. The same way with some of the other mouthfuls this level, skipping them just makes it much easier. There's multiple mandatory mouthful modes. In the water mouthful mode room, we can skip using the water as a weapon, which just makes the 500 Scarfies that they spawn kind of obnoxious to kill, but still very doable. And it's really odd, but skipping the vending machine mouthful mode makes it so easy. Like, this room is not a challenge if you don't have the vending machine mouth. It's just so much easier compared to if you use it. When I got here, I died very often to the turtle somehow damaging me when I pulled up to the end with a boat, so I just decided to scarf them all down real quick like. The archmouth section's really easy, but it puts an insane amount of pressure on you because I do not want to do the whole level again. It takes like 15 minutes to do. And the turtle section at the end is not so bad, but very, very scary. There's a mandatory cone mouth to boot too. Okay, next boss up I don't recognize. Let's get in there. Oh, it's Dedede. I didn't recognize him because of the mask. I thought it was Meta Knight. So when Dedede summons his helpers, don't get too greedy. If you're not in a position to suck him up and shoot him off at him or in like good spacing, he almost always does a charge next afterwards, and you don't want to get too greedy with any of his moves because he has a lot of really quick dodges and he moves around like a psycho. He can do some dodges though when he's swinging his hammer down and get some nasty damage off on him. If you get lucky, you can get 2 or 3 stars when he does his flame slam move, just by dodging and getting the slowdown. If you stay patient and wait your turn to do your attacks after his are done with, you'll be fine. You can punish his tornado attack, but it has some slight risk to it. His slide move is also very, very easy to punish. That's probably your best time to get damage off on him. Now we're on Leongar, and this is some neat trivia, but you actually don't have to fight the enemies he summons in at the start. You can either spit them onto him, or if you go stand in front of him, he'll start the fight. He has very nice telegraph patterns that are easy to dodge. He's actually one of the easier bosses of the game. Most of his swings can be dodge rolled and easily punished. If you don't get the bullet time though, don't try to punish it with a star because he will swing again and hit you. When he drags his claws in the ground, it's a lot slower than it looks like it's going to be. It's pretty deceptively slow actually, and that can be a bit tricky. You can dodge through the hitbox of his giant purple X slashes he does, and they're actually really easy to dodge. If you just hit forward when they're in front of you, you can dodge right through them with no effort. With his big laser blast, if you move in a large circle, it's not too bad at all because he's never going to hit you as long as you keep moving. He has that unbelievably scary bite move he does. That's not hard to dodge, but man is it freaky looking. There's some sweet bullnose jiggle physics. And then there's Fecto Forgo, and he's easy. He's easy no matter what you do. No one thinks he's hard. He took one try, and yeah, that's just him. Moving on to our boy Elphilus. Now, he's a pretty intimidating boss to do damageless. You're gonna have to learn his patterns. His swings are very, very wide arched, and you can float over them or dodge. I would recommend floating, because it's a lot more consistent than dodging, and you don't have to learn the timing. When he goes to do his thrust, if you're near the start of his thrust, you get 4 stars to shoot instead of just 2, and that could be a bit nicer for punishing. His slam move is very nicely telegraphed, so you can get plenty of damage off on him there too. And with his blue projectiles, you just want to keep moving. There is absolutely nothing you can do to get some damage off on him during that. He follows up afterwards very quickly. His big meteors can be a little hard to deal with. I didn't understand what would make them spawn on what side. I think they were actually tracking me. But what I'd recommend with these is trying to stay near the middle, because if you're in one of the extreme sides when the meteor's coming down, you're gonna have a little bit of bad luck. Overall, this challenge wasn't so bad. It was actually really fun. So let's go check out some of the EX levels and see what they're like too. You know that so bad I was talking about it not being? It was all hiding in the EX levels. The design of the levels was actually insanely fair, and every mistake I'd make would be my own fault, but with how long each level took of time commitment to get to the boss, it was pretty easy to make a mistake, and thus resulting in quite a challenge. In the first world, it's a whole heaping long old level, and you can get down to Gorimondo, then you can get careless and get smacked by him just because you weren't paying attention. The worst thing about this fight is the way he looks at you. That is haunting Gorimondo. Phantom Gorimondo and his level are hard, but compared to some of the later ones, it's kind of a cakewalk, and that does not bode well for some of the later levels. Now we're going to go on to level 2 with Tropic Woods, and he missed the memo about making his stage hard. You can straight up skip the middle section with like baby weenie strats just by swimming around the level. It is just so easy compared to the others of this like EX world. And when you get to him, he's no harder than he is in the original. Just fire off his coconuts at him. And when he does his big puff attack, you can kind of float on his roots to get over them, and it's very easy to dodge. During his normal puff attack, when he shoots out the ring, if you actually just float above it, you can drop drop down into the circle and get one of the stars to punish him. But stage 3. Ooh, that's where it gets psycho. It starts off with this obnoxious hedgehog that makes me have to wait at the beginning until he's done doing his attack, and it's really annoying because you can't skip him. If you're lucky, you can kind of rush past him through one of the sides, but I never really got too lucky and it wasn't consistent. So I just had to wait for like 3 whole seconds before I was allowed to play the level, and I know it's not much, but man, my brain is rotten and musky and does not like sitting still. But at the very least, Frosty's the mid-boss, and he's kind of a joke, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then you get into the section with the light bulb mouth. I forgot about the bulls every time I did this. I'm not joking. I would always forget they put bulls there and always get hit by them. I just could not get that there was bulls in my long-term memory. My mind was fried this entire time I did it. Every single time I would always see them charging and have to go like, oh, and have to jump back. I just forgot about them. And guess what about the dark section too? I didn't go slowly, and I got ruined by my lack of patience 1,000 times. Then you get to the mud section, and without power-ups, it's very boring and slow, but it isn't hard. And then you get to the maze section, and that's just plain old easy. But then after all of that, you get the Phantom Clawr line, who isn't so hard, but with that long of a time commitment, you just choke. You just choke consistently. You get scared, and you stop playing well, and you choke and you mess up. So the first thing to take note of is when she does her stage light attack. If you wait till the very second she appears and then dodge, you'll always get the slowdown with perfect timing. And when she does her claw slashes, I found it much better just to float over them than try to dodge them because it was a lot more consistent. Phantom Dedede's stage was straight up frustrating. I wanted challenge from Kirby, and this is about when he started delivering. It requires you to be very slow and wait a bunch of points, something that I was not designed to do by Mother Nature, and I just wanted to rush, so I would rush anyway and take damage. With how much of a time commitment this would take, you think I'd be slower, but no. I got a brain that's very, very smooth. And then you get to the nightmare section with the cannons. I tried to cheese through it, but it made it way harder than if you just did it naturally. And by my 10th try through it, I just figured out, hey, if I go the way the developers intended you to go, it's actually not so hard. Then there is a mini boss rush, and you could sneak 2 cows in to shoot at Wild Edge, and then you could shoot Wild Edge at Florina. And I was a bit dumb and did not figure out how to do Florina's attack pattern with her big Mondo attack. I didn't figure out how to dodge that correctly. You're supposed to go around it in a circle with the tornadoes. I just thought you're supposed to dodge the tornadoes and run away. I don't know why I made it harder on myself. Also, I thought every mini-boss did chip damage on Kirby's shield. You can shield almost every single one of her attacks with no chip damage. I just didn't know that, and I wish I did. And then after Florina, you got Bonkers, who is easy, and Frosty, who's easy. Then after these mini-bosses, you get to the boat section, and it's so slow that the intense music feels really sarcastic. There is a mandatory ring mouth section with the boat. I never really figured out how to use the boat mouth. I've played this game enough to where you think I would know how to use it better, but I don't. The boat mouth is my kryptonite. Then you get down to Phantom Dedede, and he gives you some dogs to fire at him, which is very nice of him. His Gordos are very easy to dodge if you just move out of the way. And with his slam move, if you can either run and jump over the shock waves, or you could just run for a second, then start hovering, and either way you're gonna dodge it without much effort. And guess what? The developers heard I needed a break, and they made Silly Dillo and his stage an absolute joke. It took me 2 tries. I think the only hard part of this level is there's a section that is a lot easier if you have fire, and if you have a genius level mega brain like me, you can memorize the patterns, and I have an insanely high intellect, so I was able to memorize them in like 2 seconds, okay? There's some Scarfies that are hard to deal with because you have to shoot some projectiles at them, otherwise they will hunt you down to the end of the earth and damage you. And then we go down to Forgo Zone, and PU! This level stinks! I could not beat it. It's complete butt chug of liquid smoke. I tried, and before I could ever do this challenge, I'm gonna need to practice this level a lot. I tried to just brute force my way through it, and obviously without having a good knowledge of what's coming up in the level, I'm not gonna be able to do this one. The difficulty curve between this and the last of the EX levels is just obscene to me, and I couldn't do it. I'll show you how far I got though. So you get into the intro section, and it was designed around you having Tornado, and doing it without Tornado makes it a lot slower. It's not so hard, but it is just a little bit tedious. And then you go into the climbing section where you have to run around this huge tower for a little bit. I found some weenie strats that make it a lot easier, but you still shouldn't get careless, otherwise you're gonna have to redo the entire intro again, like I did many times. And then after that, you go to the hydraulic press section. It's not so hard, but in your 100th try doing this level, it gets kind of tedious to do. I had a heart attack after you beat the hydraulic press section because I thought I was gonna have to do a boss rush like in the original version of the level. Thank goodness it's actually very easy at this point. And then you get to a coaster mouth. And oh brother, did I choke here a lot. I choked absolutely when this should have been easy. I was just so nervous. I didn't want to do the intro section. It was so slow and I would panic and freak out. But after, if I got lucky enough to not choke during the coaster mouth, then you get to fight Giant Edge in a sticky arena. And since I don't have the water mouth, you can't clean it. So you're limited to this small space. But he's not so bad. You go into Bonkers and it's just normal Bonkers, whatever, easy peasy. And next up is probably the biggest bottleneck of the level next to Forgo Dedede, and I know I shouldn't complain about this because I'm playing the level the way like the developers absolutely did not intend, so that's why it's so hard, but fighting Florina and Frosty at the same time without getting damaged was just obnoxious. I wished I could use that vending machine so bad, man, every single attempt. I know this doesn't seem like it would be that hard, and on its own it wouldn't be hard whatsoever, but combined with the entire level and how easy it is to kind of space out and get hit, it really did turn this a lot harder than it normally would be. And then you get to the point where you fight on the big red snapping turtle fella's back, and it is very easy unless you don't immediately kill the hedgehog. If you don't immediately kill the hedgehog, you're gonna take damage. You can't avoid him and the Brento beats at the exact same time. It is absolutely not doable, so you gotta kill the hedgehog as soon as he spawns, otherwise you're gonna have to start the entire level over. But then guess what? You gotta go fight Forgo Dedede. I could do Phantom Forgo Dedede without power-ups or damage. That wouldn't be such a challenge, but doing the entire level and getting to him proved to be impossible for me at the moment. I need to do a lot more practice. And I also wanted to do this so I could see what a no damage run of Kirby in the Forgotten Land would be like, because that sounded like fun, and I think that'd be very possible. I don't know if I would be able to do it without power-ups, but I think that I could do a no damage run of this game someday. If I ever get brave enough, I'd like to try this challenge again after I practice this level with the mod on, but for the time being, I'm way too scared to use the mod. I've had a lot of friends tell me urban legends about what Nintendo does to people who mod their Switch, so I'm gonna avoid that for the time being. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, I have another one I did of Hollow Knight, which is already really hard game that I played through with the worst possible damage output, only using the Dung Defender's Crest Charm, which does barely any damage, and I beat the majority of the game with that. So if you like to watch people suffer, go check it out. Oh